and welcome back to Andrew Gamera Coaching and NoPainAllGain.ca. Today, we're talking about your mindset and how it affects chronic illness and fibromyalgia. So your mindset and chronic illness or fibromyalgia are more interwoven than you may think. They are actually intricately interwoven together. So if you want to be able to manage and control your chronic illness and fibromyalgia, you need to have a positive mindset. It's essential. Research shows that if you have a negative mindset, depression and illness will follow. So if you want to be able to get through chronic illness, you need a positive outlook. You need a positive mindset that is telling you, I can beat this, I will beat this, and there is a way out. I am proof that you do not need to be on medication, and there is natural ways that you can get through your fibromyalgia. And I was not able to get here without gaining a positive mindset. So here is how you can get control of your chronic illness, fibromyalgia, with your mindset. So here's some background for you. When I first experienced chronic fatigue back in my 20s after university, my doctor wouldn't even diagnose it as chronic fatigue because the interns of that time would not give me that diagnosis because it wasn't curable, which is a ridiculous reasoning for why they wouldn't give that diagnosis. So instead, they gave me the diagnosis of being depressed. So which was it? Did I have chronic fatigue or was it depression? Well, let's let you be the judge. So back then, I had just completed my political science and history degree at the University of Victoria. I was active. While I was doing my schooling, I played roller hockey in a mixed league. I would rollerblade around Victoria where I was going to school. And if anybody knows Victoria, there are some pretty tall hills. And I would still rollerblade. I was quite active. And so I moved back home again to the mainland and where my parents lived while I was trying to find some jobs so I could pay off my student loan debt. And so while after moving back from university, I worked a full-time job at a law office as the file management clerk. I worked 10 hours a week at Orca Bay Entertainment Arena or GM Place at the hockey and basketball games. Yes, we did have the Grizzlies back then. So that tells you how long ago. And I was also taking 2 courses a week at Vancouver Community College to get my business administration certificate. So does that sound like somebody who has depression? Yeah, I didn't think so. So I maintained this schedule for over a year until I was pressured into getting the flu shot at the law office I was working for. It wasn't mandatory, but you know how they can use the language to make you feel like you're being ungrateful for not getting this free vaccine. So I got the vaccine, and I was down for the count almost immediately. It felt like I had the flu constantly. And of course, they're like, that's not possible. The flu shot doesn't give you the flu. Don't be ridiculous. Well, guess what? Now it's a common knowledge that does happen because I wasn't the only one. But for me, it meant days where I would wake up in the morning and I would not be able to go to work because my legs were so weak. I couldn't even manage the stairs in my house to get out the door to get to work. And with my job at the law office, I would have to go down into the storage basement in the basement under the building, which required stairs as well. I couldn't manage my job. So went to the doctor to get a diagnosis. Of course, they said as depression, which was not what was going on. Which I went on short-term disability for 6 months. And when it was time to go on to long-term disability, because my doctor said it was depression, not chronic illness or chronic fatigue, I was fired. Now, when you're in your mid-20s and you can't get out of bed most days, of course, depression is going to creep in. But I want to be very clear on this. It was not depression. The first thing was the chronic fatigue. The depression came after. So, since the traditional Canadian medical system had completely failed me, I moved on to alternative medicine. And through the alternative medicine and a new focus on becoming an actor, singer, and performer, I was able to recover from my chronic fatigue by making sure I had a balance of exercise. I changed my diet and had a new focus on positive mindset, because now I was pursuing something I had always loved. As a child, from the age of 3, I had been in ballet, musical theater, and dance, different levels of dance, tap, jazz, and I loved it. And it was my sister, actually, that we had sat down one day having lunch, because we both worked in downtown Vancouver, and we met up for lunch one day, and she had said, "What would make you happy? What would you like to do with your life?" And I said, "I would love to be an actor. I really miss being on the stage." And she said, "Well, why don't you? You are really good when we were kids, so why not go after it?" And I did. And because I was going after that goal, I had something to focus on. I had a new joy and hobby in my life that I really, really loved pursuing. It helped me develop a positive attitude and a positive mindset. And by balancing my activity level and making sure I was exercising, because I wanted to be an actor, I started doing ballet again, which I had really, really loved, and that helped my body get healthier again and stronger. And by adjusting my diet, I was able to remove some of the inflammatory foods I was consuming that was making the chronic fatigue a real problem. And so for 15 years, I was living a very energetic and, working full-time job during the day, and then auditioning when I could, doing acting classes, singing classes, ballet classes. I was back into being a busy 20s, early 30s individual. And it was great, but I always knew I had to keep a balance. And if I pushed myself too hard, I would go under again. But by keeping that balance, going through the alternative natural healthcare system, it really helped me get out of the chronic fatigue and back into a balanced lifestyle again. And then it wasn't until about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, had a fairly innocent fall where I really yanked my arm. And I'm not quite sure why. The fibromyalgia came back in, but I know my mom also had developed fibromyalgia after she had a work mandated flu vaccine as well, and she never did end up being able to go back to work after that. But this time it was fibromyalgia, so it was more of not just being constantly tired, but having the muscle aches and pains and the brain fog and cognitive issues, balance issues. And that came in and hit me really hard into my 40s, probably mid-40s or so. And that was really hard. And so then here we go again, we're going through all the testing. But when I went into the neurologist to figure out, or the internist, I guess, no, he was a neurologist. When I went into him to see what the diagnosis might be, he started putting me through all this testing. And when we did our talk and I told him about the chronic fatigue, and when I described what I'd been going through, he was like, "Oh yeah, yes, you absolutely had chronic fatigue back then. They just didn't want to admit it. Because then that would mean that there was a problem with the flu vaccines, which they didn't want to admit either. But now it's recognized. Yeah, it happens." And a lot of different chronic illnesses are a result of a bad reaction to a flu vaccine. So as I went forward, he kept testing me for all these things. Again, nothing jumped out. He thought maybe lupus. He thought maybe it was from Lyme disease. But none of those came up in my blood work, and none of them, they couldn't prove it definitively. And so again, it's when they've eliminated all other options that they know for sure that it's fibromyalgia. And so again, there is no pills to take for it. And that's fine. You just learn to manage your pain and bring it down into control. And it was, I was praying a lot that God would help me find a way to manage this and to get out of this. Because the fibromyalgia, again, the depression came back, because when you can't function for your family, and I had young kids at the time, you start feeling really nasty and really bad again. And so I was praying a lot that God would help me get better. And that's when he brought Trish Blackwell into my life. I heard her on a Christian radio station I was listening to, started listening to her podcast, which is called The Confidence Podcast. I'll put the details of that below. And then became part of her group, her confidence group called the College of Confidence. And it's just outstanding. She's just so amazing. And with her, she really helped me to realize how much my mindset was going to help me get through the depression, the anxiety. And as I got through, depression has been gone for many years now. And the anxiety is very manageable. And I have other podcasts as well, and YouTube videos that talk about anxiety and how to get through that. And I can link those below as well. But it was through this, during this same time, that God also put the Med Missionaries in program into my view. And I took that program as well, a certification course, to learn how to reduce chronic pain and illness through changing your diet and your exercise regime. Because what the health system in Canada and the US presently, but soon will be changing in the US, is that they don't want you to do things naturally. They want you to go through the pharmaceuticals instead of looking at your health, changing your diet. The big thing for a lot of chronic illness, especially chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia, is inflammatory triggers. So if you can remove the things from your diet that are causing your body to be inflamed, you will reduce your pain and be able to eliminate it. This Med Missionary program that I am certified to teach and coach people with, to help them improve their lives. When I followed that program to the T, within 6 weeks, I was pain-free. I could think clearly. It was outstanding. And so, of course, over time, when you're doing a specific diet just for yourself and the rest of your family is eating a different diet, it's hard to maintain that. So when I slip from, I know there's certain foods I cannot have. And if I start eating them, the pain will come back. But the great thing is when I remove them from my diet again, the pain recedes again. And so I know this helps me. There's countless other stories of people in this program that have taken it over the years, and they have experienced the exact same things. They don't all have fibromyalgia. There's people with diabetes and other chronic illnesses that have also been able to benefit greatly from this program. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me at Andrea@nopainallgain.ca. We can set up a one-on-one consultation. We can start working together, and I can help you start getting your pain under control again, and possibly even gone forever. So how do we get a positive mindset? So step one is to be able to recognize the negative thoughts. Sometimes we think things and they're just so automatic for us, we don't even really realize that they're negative, but they are. So the first thing is to realize that the thought is negative, and then you have to do something called reframe it. So you're going to reframe that thought in a positive, more helpful light that will help you be able to move on with your day. And a great way to do that is through journaling, because once you get your thoughts on paper, you can better analyze them, and then you can look at them and say, hey, is this true? Is this not true? And if it's not true, you can just kick it out. And even if it is true in that moment, or it feels true, you can still reword it to be more positive, or at least neutral, so that it doesn't have the negative effects on you anymore. So instead of saying, I can't do this, you can say, I can do this if I keep working at it. So maybe in that moment you can't, but if you keep working towards it, then you can. And that puts it into a positive mindset. And once your brain hears that, your subconscious is very, very powerful. So, and your subconscious, the thing about your subconscious is that it doesn't know the difference between what's reality and what's not. So whatever you keep telling it, it's going to believe is fact. So if you keep telling it that you're dying, it's going to start to fulfill that in your body somewhere. Now you may think I'm crazy with that, but it is true. If you start having the negative thoughts, if two people have got cancer, and one of them is extremely negative and it's planning, and it keeps saying they're going to die, and the other person is positive, the one that is positive will have a longer lifespan and a greater outcome in their recovery if they believe the chemotherapy or whatever program they are taking to combat the cancer is going to be effective. It will be effective, and it will get them closer to their goal of recovery. But if that other person has decided they are going to die and there's nothing that can be done, they will not live for very long. And there is a lot of research that proves this to be true. So the best thing you can do for someone that is in the hospital with whatever they're dealing with is to help them reframe the negative thoughts that are naturally coming up for them, so that they can start seeing things in a more positive light and start turning things around for themselves. Because it really does, the positive thinking, the prayers, the having the hope that they will improve has an amazing effect on them actually improving. And it's because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between the truth and not the truth. It will start creating in your world, in your body, in your existence, what you tell it. So when you tell it that great things are going to happen, it's going to start finding evidence that great things are happening. And conversely, if you keep saying negative things are going to happen, you're going to start seeing more evidence of negative things happening around you. So honestly, getting into a more positive mindset is really, really powerful. So for instance, when I wake up in the morning, sometimes the first thought, for when I'm journaling, I will write down my first thought of the morning, which is usually, I'm so tired, I hurt, I can't do this, I don't want to get out of bed. And then I will immediately reframe that thought and say, yes, I can do it. And one of my favorite reframe is from Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that will be, if you were to look through my journal, which you would be bored to death, so you don't want to do that, but you would most often see the reframe of, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I can. And then I pray to God that he will strengthen me. And you know what? Jesus has not let me down even once. No matter what my day holds, he always gets me through the day. So this is one of the main things that I would really recommend is the journaling and reframing your thought. That first thought of the day, because that can turn your whole day around. And then the second thing you want to do is, once you've recognized the negative thoughts, you want to reframe them as quickly as possible. And so you can come up with a new reframe. You can have some that you've set aside for this, because we'll usually have the same negative thoughts come up over and over and over. But the more you change them with a positive affirmation, the less they're going to come back. And then more automatic is that positive thought. So when you say something like, I'm stupid, for me, my number one comment that I'm constantly saying to myself is, you're an idiot. But now it's, you're not an idiot, because I know I'm not an idiot. I know I'm intelligent. I've got a university degree that says so. I've got family and friends that say so. I know that I'm smart. I know I'm not an idiot. Sometimes I feel it like that because I've made a bad decision, or I don't like how things are working out, but I know deep down I'm not an idiot. So immediately I would say, you're not an idiot. Things just aren't working out the way you want. And that's enough to break that thought, because the more you sit in that negative thought, the deeper that groove gets in your brain and the louder that voice is going to get. But the quicker that you can reframe it and repeat something the opposite, that groove is going to get, the negative groove gets smaller, and the positive groove goes deeper until that positive thought is just going to automatically replace it. And over time, and it's probably going to be, I'm still saying that to myself, and I've been doing this for over 5 years. So it will take time for it to be removed completely, but the frequency in which that thought comes into my mind is a lot less than it was 5 years ago. For that is certain. So you want to make sure that you have affirmations set up or reframes that you can go to right away so that you can get yourself out of that spiral, move it out of your brain, and move on with your day. So here are some good reframes to have for common negative thoughts. I am good enough. God says I am, so I know it's true. I can do this, and I will. I had enough sleep last night, and I will make it through the day. I can handle anything with God on my side. So what if that does happen? I can handle it. God says I'm worthy, and He never lies. Therefore, I am worthy. I can do anything that I decide to do. And of course, my favorite, I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. So these are all powerful thoughts when you use them consistently. And one of my favorite for combating my anxiety is so what? Whenever an anxious thought enters my mind, I ask, is this going to kill me? The answer is always no. Then my response is, so what are we worried about then? This thought process stops the spiraling before it even starts. Now all I have to say is, well, so what? And it's over. My brain knows that I'm not going to entertain that train of thought anymore, and gives up. So in conclusion, your mindset and fibromyalgia and chronic illness are intricately connected. If you think negative thoughts, your condition will nosedive. If you think positive thoughts, your condition will improve. And I know, I have been there. When you get the diagnosis, when you don't want to get up in bed, when you're so exhausted you can't even think, it's really easy to just go into that pity party. But that pity party is not going to help you. So if you want to be a true FM warrior, you have to develop a healthy, positive mindset, and you will be able to get control over your pain. The more you get done and the more improvements you experience, the happier you're going to get. And the happier you get, the more of that feeling you're going to want. And when you start having less pain days or lowered pain days, you're going to want that more and more. So developing a positive mindset, knowing you can get there despite what the medical system is telling you, you can get there. There are ways to do it naturally so that you are not on multiple pain medications and going for shots here and shots there that don't really help you and just make you gain weight. It can be done, but you have to have a positive attitude and you have to be willing to do what needs to be done in order to get there. So, and I do understand your hesitation about going this route of developing a positive mindset and really believing that it could have the effects that I say it can and that it does. Because 5 years ago, I certainly didn't believe this, but I do now. And I can tell you that the way I feel now, what I'm able to accomplish, there is no way you could pay, there's no amount of money you could pay me for me to go back to the person and the pain level I had 5 years ago. Absolutely no way. So if this sounds like something that might be interesting to you, or you have a friend or family member that you think could benefit from this, please reach out to me at andrea@nopainallgain.ca. I would be happy to chat with them. We can do a free one-on-one consultation to see if working together would be a good fit, and then we can move forward and help them become pain-free too. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me today. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here, and I truly, truly appreciate it. You have no idea how much I do. So also, if you are interested in more tips to help with fibromyalgia, my new book, Tips for Living with Fibromyalgia and Chronic Illness, is now available on Amazon in digital or hard copy. So check them out there. Get yourself a copy, or those for friends or family, and then they can start benefiting from some of these pain management tips as well. So thank you again, and I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time. Did you know that one-on-one coaching is a great way to break through the walls and barriers that are holding you back from the life of your dreams? Well, that's what I do. I help people look through their lives through a different perspective and help them break down the walls that are holding them back in life. I also specialize in fibromyalgia and chronic illness, and love helping people get their health back so they can live the life that they truly want to live. So if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, please, again, reach out to me at andrea@nopainnogain.ca, and we can set up a one-on-one free consultation to see if working together would be a good fit for both of us. And then we'll start working on getting you the life that you want to live. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you realize what an incredible child of God you are, how much He loves you, and that the world just would not be the same without you. So have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.